What if we told you that Antarctica holds many untold secrets buried deep beneath the ice? Scientists have found baffling phenomena in what should be the world's most uninhabitable continent, proving that life always finds a way. Let's dive in. At the bottom of the Earth, around the South Pole, lies the coldest continent on Earth. It covers 14,200,000 kilometers squared and remains the least inhabited continent, despite being the fifth largest. Most of the land is covered with thick ice sheets with an average depth of 1.9 kilometers. As the coldest, driest, and windiest of the 7 continents with no native population, this polar desert has a population density of less than 0.01 per kilometer squared. Antarctica is the most recently discovered continent due to its harsh climate and location. Its ice sheets are estimated to be first sighted by a Russian expedition in 1820, with the first landing achieved by a team of Norwegian explorers in 1895. Since we haven't had much time to explore its icy depths, it's natural that a large part remains undiscovered. But researchers have worked tirelessly to uncover what lies beneath the ice, and some of these discoveries are mind-boggling. What do you think scientists expected to find over 1,600 feet below the surface? One thing is for sure, they weren't expecting to find life. Scientists have long toyed with the idea of an underground network of water, but the idea of a 10-kilometer-long freshwater river flowing 1,640 feet below the ice along the Ross Ice Shelf is still surprising. But that's exactly what was found after drilling through the ice. And it wasn't the only thing either. When the camera they first sent reached a cavern, the team of researchers thought there was something wrong with the equipment. But it turned out that it was actually thousands of crustaceans known as amphipods. And that's not all. The team also realized that the water in the cavern split into 5 separate layers, all moving in different directions. But these crustaceans aren't the only interesting creatures you'll find in the depths of Antarctica's waters. Just a decade ago, researchers believed that the water temperatures in the continent were too low for living things to survive, but they've been proven wrong. They found fish with large eyes, a likely development because of the darkness prevalent in the ocean. There were orange and black ones as well. But what do you think was the most shocking discovery? It was translucent fish. Thought to be of the suborder Nodotheniidae, you can see the fish's internal organs through its skin. Biologist Reinhold Hanel thinks it's a result of the evolutionary loss of hemoglobin in their blood. Moving on, we have another species right out of a horror movie. The Eulogesca gigante, a 20-centimeter long scale worm found 40 to 700 meters deep into the water. First discovered in 1939, it's a polynoidie known as a bristle worm owing to its body. With a head-like structure that looks like an alien and a body arranged like sets of teeth, the worm is nothing to scoff at. There's not much known about this creature except for the fact that its teeth indicate it feeds on smaller animals. But we do know that the alien-like protrusion isn't actually its head. It's a tubular mouth part known as a retractable proboscis, which it uses while it feeds. Usually, it's folded up into the worm's body. Moving on, can you answer this question? Can something rot in Antarctica? If you know basic science, you might answer no. After all, even most microorganisms can't survive in such low temperatures. But the answer would actually be yes. There are in fact fungi that can feed on wood in the blistering cold, and it's not their only food either. There are over 100,000 fungi species, and expert Robert Blanchett, a pathologist at the University of Minnesota, found 3 more where he least expected them. It was in the remnants of the British Nimrod expedition, led by Ernest Shackleton, where his team managed to reach the farthest south of Antarctica. 3 huts were built during the journey between 1901 and 1915. These wooden structures were filled with objects like newspaper clippings and clothing. But Blanchett found that the wood was covered in black spots, signs of rotting, and it was followed by something even more monumental. One of these native fungal species seemed capable of eating up the oil left by the team. This would present a biological solution to the oil spill issues around the world. Now let's take a look at other interesting phenomena in Antarctica. What do you think of a glacier that sinks? Spanning over 500,000 kilometers squared is the Ross Ice Shelf, the largest ice shelf in Antarctica. and it seems to be musically inclined. Researchers used 34 sensitive seismographs within the top foot of the ice shelf and accumulated data from 2014 to 2017. They found that the top layer of the ice was constantly humming at a frequency of 5 Hz because of the constant winds. Lead author Julian Chaput said the glacier was singing and compared it to a continuously blowing flute. The team also observed that the singing's frequency was affected by storms or melting as they changed the shape of the snow dunes on the ice shelf. And what if we told you we had a piece of Mars on Earth? On the 27th of December in 1984, a team of researchers in the ANSMET program found a meteorite in Allen Hills, Antarctica, and this small discovery would become a turning point for astrobiology. It was found by Roberta Score, the Antarctic Meteorite Laboratory lab manager at NASA's Johnson Space Center. At 1.93 kilograms, it's part of the Shergotite-Nacolite-Chasignite group, which is thought to have originated on Mars. Named Allen Hills 84001, its discovery set up a frenzy around the world. The major theory about how it ended there says it was blasted off Mars by a meteor around 17 million years ago and ended up on Earth 13,000 years ago. Next, we have a bone-chilling term for you: blood falls. The name makes it sound like it's something out of a horror movie, but the science behind it is as surprising as it is simple. Australian geologist Griffith Taylor discovered the falls in 1911 while exploring the Taylor Valley in the McMurdo Dry Valleys. Flowing from the tongue of the Taylor Glacier, the blood has stains surrounding the ice. At first, the color was attributed to red algae, but this has proven to be untrue. Scientists used radio echoes to find out what lay beneath the glacier surface and found that it takes 1.5 million years for water to travel through the glacier and emerge from the fissures in the ice. Beneath this ice is a brine lake filled with iron-rich saltwater, and when it reaches the surface, the water gets oxidized and gains its distinct red color. What if you knew that a hole the size of Ireland spontaneously opened and then closed on Antarctica's surface, leaving scientists baffled? First seen in 1974, the Weddell Polynya is a gigantic irregular body of water that appears as though a hole was punched in the ice. After it was observed, it closed up in 1976. And scientists were left baffled when it reappeared 4 decades later in 2016 and 2017, covering 80,000 kilometers squared at its peak. Kent Moore, the physicist at the University of Toronto, pointed out that the hole would have gone undiscovered without satellite images. Right now, scientists have no idea why it occurred, though it has been observed that it has to do with movements like those of cyclones. And this brings us to another set of holes, though admittedly these are much smaller, even if they're no less interesting. Called cryosonite holes, these contain deposits of sediments like soot and microbes. The baffling part is that these deposits from power plants and volcanic eruptions also make their way to these deposits, forming cryosonite. These sediments tend to absorb sunlight and create holes on the glacier's surface, eventually sinking deeper and deeper to create a black layer at the bottom. These holes fill with water in the summer, providing the perfect habitat for certain microorganisms to flourish. Finally, let's discuss what we know about human life on the coldest continent on Earth. There have been several speculations, with most researchers finding it impossible for a civilization to sustain in freezing temperatures. In 2016, satellite images found structures jutting from the snow that seemed like pyramids. It sparked a discussion on whether they were man-made, which led to a discourse on the possibility of a population in Antarctica. While these claims have been denied, with many saying that these so-called pyramids were natural structures resulting from erosion, it doesn't mean that there was never human life in Antarctica. The earliest human remains were found in 1985 on Yamuna Beach on the west coast of Cape Shirreff, near the South Shetland Islands. It was a skull of a Chilean woman in her 20s thought to have been on a sealing mission. Scientists estimated that the Yamuna woman had died between 1819 and 1825, and her remains are the oldest found on Antarctic soil. Thanks for trekking with us across Antarctica today. If you want to help us keep this nature ride going, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, thank you for watching and stay warm but curious.